Everybody should be getting added in here as we go here. Jim, be like, hey, did you make it in?
Yeah.
All right. So 7:04, is everybody getting added in? Does it look like? Are you able to tell, Ashley, or is it tell you who's loading or whatever? They are?
They're coming on, yes, from what I can tell.
Okay. I'll give it a few seconds while we make sure everybody gets loaded in. I know people are probably figuring it out, clicking buttons.
I know Boyce is trying to get in.
Yeah, he messaged on there asking if the meeting started, and I was saying it's getting started now. What was that?
I think that was just trying to let people know that somebody else joined.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. As they're adding you guys in, we're putting everybody in a muted status so that we don't have background noises pop up or anything like that. And then we will, there's a, I was going to talk about the chat feature in a second. We'll give it a few minutes here and then we'll kind of bring that up. Let me just, I'm going to pull the Almond Glen webpage too. So I've got it in front of me so that if somebody's trying desperately to get in or something, can get that in front of me. I messaged Boyce saying getting going now, and he messaged back a thumbs up. So hopefully that means he's getting in there. Cool. Do you have anybody else that it shows waiting in the lobby or anything like that, Ashley?
I do not.
Okay. Good deal. Good deal. All right. So Kate just figured out the chat feature. So there's a more button on your devices most likely, and there's a chat that's up there, and then the chat feature, Voice is in there too. That gives you the ability to throw some messages out. So if you have some questions or some thoughts, if you want to throw them in there as we're going, then we will look at those messages and try to respond to them. But don't flood us with stuff as we're sitting here trying to talk initially, because the board has had very little time to talk about this tonight, and I'll kind of do a brief overview of where we are, and then we'll talk a little bit about what's going on. And essentially what we want to do is invite the community to be present to witness this discussion as we have it, because a lot of times when things happen at meetings or behind closed doors, you don't really have a full picture of what happened. So real quick introductions. Ashley is listed as AMG Community Manager. So anybody who doesn't know Ashley, that's Ashley. Danielle Rudisil is over there as well in the green. That is, Danielle used to be our association manager from way back. She is back with the company. What's your official position now again? I forget. Daisy told me, but I forgot.
Director of Operations.
Director of Operations. That's it. She had told me your title, and it went right out of my brain as soon as she said it. But she's moved up to a bigger and better thing with the company. But we're glad to have her back with AMG, because we were very pleased with her. It took Ashley coming in and really working hard to fill your shoes. So she's done a good job. But so that's our AMG folks that are here for you guys. And then we've got, I think all of the board members are here. I'm not sure about Anthony. I don't know if Anthony made it in or not, though he did give us a few comments and thoughts. So if he doesn't make it in. So a real quick overview of where we are. The board was waiting to hear from the state as to what we could do as far as, can we open the pool, can we not open the pool? As of this last week, we were in a status of a holding pattern. There was an order in place that didn't allow us to open the pool. From there, we got an update telling us, okay, now the pool can open, and it can open on the 18th, or as soon as the 18th specifically. But then they give us a list of guidelines and things that we need to follow in order for that to go out, which I think I posted that list up along with some stuff that that email I actually shared out. That email that I shared covers that list. So I'll post that up on the Almond Glen HOA webpage, so that everybody can look at that later if you want to. But the email outlines some guidelines. That there's some legal language in there. There's a lot of should. There's not a lot of shall, and that's kind of the crux of it. When there's shoulds mentioned, that's things that, hey, you should do this. We recommend that. And then there's shalls. Shall means if you don't do it, there's going to be a penalty of some sort. That's an or else. So if I tell you from a law enforcement perspective, you should go 10 miles per hour slower than you are, that just means that's what I'd like you to do. If I tell you shall do it, you're going to get a ticket and go to jail if you go faster. So that's the difference in legal mumbo jumbo there. So we met with an attorney today, who is actually our new attorney, and he gave us some opinions and advice. And you have to remember, when you're talking with attorneys, there's always 3 attorneys involved in every big argument, and that's the defense, the prosecutor, and then the judge. They're all attorneys, and they all don't agree. And then in the end, somebody will have a final say. So we don't have a final say on anything. What we have are opinions at this point. So we're trying to take our attorney's best opinions and best advice and then move from there. So we did go to an attorney and get some advice. And the gist of his advice is what we'll discuss this evening. The board had a meeting with him, and then we ended the meeting. And this is the first time we're having a chance to really talk about where we want to land with things. So from a pool company perspective, the board needed an update from the pool company. I talked with our pool company, which we have a new pool company this year. We did terminate our contract with Aquatech last year, if you missed that. And we brought in Carolina, is it Carolina Pools? My brain went blank all of a sudden on the
Carolina
company.
Pools.
Do you remember off the top of your head? Is it Carolina Pools?
It's
Yeah.
Carolina Pool.
So we brought them in. So we've been talking with them. Thank you. So we've been talking with them, and for the most part, they were doing the best they could to be prepared. And then just like us, the word came out, hey, you can open the pool. And then suddenly they got a flurry of questions and meetings just like this from all over North Carolina and South Carolina. People wanting to know, what are we going to do? Can we open our pool? What are our rules? What are our things? And there's different categories based upon whether or not you have attendance, don't have attendance, or if you have lifeguards. So what I wanted from our pool company was, if the board decided tonight they want to open the pool up on the 18th, Monday, we want to be able to go at 8 a.m. Are they capable of making that happen? Because that's our first thing we have to run into is, do they even have the ability? For the most part, they do. Now, they do not have an attendant ready for us. So for the board, that's why I'm kind of updating them on this. They will not have an attendant ready right away. Our pool is set to be a part-time attendant pool. So in order to kind of manage our money the best way, we have an attendant come in the mid-afternoon, and then they're there until closing. And the purpose of that is the pool gets cleaned, generally speaking, in the morning before the pool gets opened up. There's somebody comes through and cleans, and then people can come, and there's not very much activity until later in the afternoon. Then in the afternoon, an attendant shows up, cleans up around the pool, and they're there to help us close out the pool that night. And that's what we did in the past, for the past year or two, and it's worked out pretty good. So that's our new plan. That's the same thing we're moving forward with. Because of what's going on with the new stuff they've got in place, they have to get their attendants trained up on how best to serve their communities under these new restrictions and everything that are in place. So because of that, they're not totally prepared to move forward with attendance. That doesn't mean we can't open our pool up without an attendant. We can choose to do that, but they're not prepared with an attendant right away. Should be about a week's delay while they get their attendants trained. Their plan is to try to have attendants ready by Memorial Day, and then lifeguard pools are going to be about sometime in June, which that doesn't affect us. Considerations as a community for the board. Some communities are trying to open their pools right away. There are many communities that aren't. I know one of the guys I talked with today, his community said, don't even ask us until June. They just blew their community off. There's no discussion. There's no conversation. The boards aren't meeting with anybody. The board just put out an announcement, don't even ask us till June. I thought that was amazing. So we don't want to take that approach. So with that, let's go ahead, and I want to start with Katie. who's in the VP and the secretary role. So Katie, I'll go ahead and if I can, I'll mute myself and I'll just let you have a little conversation, a little thoughts on what you feel like we had going on this afternoon and what your thoughts are at that meeting.
Alrighty, sounds good. So yes, I just wanted to add in talking with Steve, the attorney, this afternoon. The one thing that we have to have is the common sense signage that everybody has everywhere. So the recommendations on social distancing, hand sanitizing, every sign you see, every place that you go does have to be posted. So we will get those up at the pool before we open up. Rob touched on the fact that there's kind of two different policies on whether there is an attendant or not. So Steve was telling us if there's no attendant, basically the signs are the rules, and that's all. People are going to have to self-police and kind of self-regulate, and it's going to be up to them to kind of figure out how to enforce things. With attendance, it's really up to the pool company how much they're going to make their attendants enforce things. So that was one of our follow-up questions to our pool company, is what they're expecting from their attendants. As far as I don't want our attendants to have to walk up to every single person. If we have neighbors that are talking on the deck, I don't want the attendant to have to go up to them and say, hey, you guys can carry on this conversation, but take 6 steps back from each other. I think that's a little bit much, but that's part of what this discussion is going to be about. The big thing that Steve said and that he pushed was that if there's too many complaints, if people are calling 2, 3, 4 times a day saying, hey, there's not social distancing, hey, we're not happy with this, is that he recommends the pool be closed down. So that is something we have to consider for the long term, and obviously how to try to prevent that for our neighborhood. Hearing about what you talked about for Carolina Pool Management, I don't know. If they don't have an attendant ready to go through and do that daily cleaning, the sanitizing and everything for a week, I don't know. I don't think there's going to be any change in our pay, Rob, if we'll get a discount or something because they're not ready when we were supposed to open on this. I mean, the 16th to 18th, I get that. That's not on them. But if they're not ready to go from the 18th to, I don't know, the 25th, if there's a few dollars or something that we can work out with that.
I didn't even bring it up at this point. I think like everything else, everybody's trying to be kind of reasonable in their expectations. So I think if it went to be, I was kind of hoping that he's shooting for the high end of it. He's saying Memorial Day weekend. It might be that we just kind of forgive it and kind of move on, but that it just depends on how much it really affects us.
Absolutely. So that's kind of my thoughts. I know the big things that we wanted to work out tonight is furniture. If we're going to have any out, how we're going to keep it clean, what we expect from our members as far as how we can enforce things without being unreasonable and actually expecting things, and just kind of how we can get the pool open because we want everybody to be able to enjoy it. That's kind of where I'm at right now, waiting to see what all everybody thinks.
Okay. Eric, are you there? Thoughts?
I'm here. It's still like having the camera on the whole time. After talking to the attorney, my biggest concern was any liability issues if we have people get upset, if someone gets sick. He didn't think that would be an issue because you can't prove where you got a virus from if you went to the park and then you went to the pool and you went to your friend's house. So if someone trying to sue us and hold the HOA accountable for getting sick, if someone tried to do that, they wouldn't be successful. So that was my biggest concern, which he was okay with. In terms of opening the pool, I guess we might as well just open it up and see what people do. There's always going to be the people that don't follow the rules, like the people that keep putting chairs in the pool and damaging it when everyone tells them not to do it and they keep saying they can. I don't know if it's worth self-policing or just letting them do whatever they want. If people complain, they cannot go to the pool. Because either way, trying to shut down the pool because of a couple people doesn't make a ton of sense either. So if we want to just keep it open and say, you're on your own, go for it. If you want to go, go. If you don't want to go, don't go. And just leave it as is with the attendance, except for maybe a little bit of extra cleaning.
Okay, Virginia, I know you're there. Thoughts?
Yes, I'm with Eric. I mean, we can open it, and I just think that we really need to make it clear that if you don't follow the rules, and if it gets to the point where we think it's going to be, I guess a little dangerous, or people don't want to follow the social distancing to the point it's like 100 people or something at the pool, but it's never that. But just let people know that it will be a possibility. Spread the word that we will shut the pool down. That would be my only thing, because you don't want everybody all upset because the pool got shut down or some craziness. But if you just make sure that everybody make sure that they read the rules and the regulations that we're going to post, then I'm okay with opening it.
Okay. I don't know. I never got a message back. Did Anthony ever pop up?
I didn't see him.
Yeah, I don't think he's here. All right. So a couple talking points then. When it comes to the social distancing aspect, I did bring that up specifically because that's a term that I want to burn out of everybody's brains for the rest of existence. I'm so tired of hearing that. I know we all are, but it is a thing that it's the phrase that's been coined. So I brought that up specifically. The pool attendants are willing to do a whole lot of things. However, they are not going to enforce social distancing. And here's the why behind the what. We get phone calls in law enforcement to come out and break up small groups of people. And the rat hole that you're waiting to go down is, how do I know who's in what household together? And even as neighbors, you're really in a slippery slope, because you don't know who's decided to start staying at somebody's home because they're having a hard time or something. So you can sit there and say, well, I know they don't live together. That's a really, really difficult thing for our attendants to do. So even if an attendant is there, that's one thing we will definitely not have them doing at any point, is going over and saying, hey, the group of you don't appear to be from the same household. I mean, imagine the racial biases and everything else that would be needed to decide what groups don't look like they belong together. Holy cow. So I completely agree with Brandon from AM Waters. That's who I talked with, from the pool company. They're not going to have them doing social distancing. Now that said, we can still obviously encourage it for people. As far as liability, again, to kind of reiterate that point, like Eric just pointed out, the biggest concern going in, obviously, is from the board's point of view, is always your money, your legal liability as far as a community. And it doesn't look like there's really a leg to stand on. So if the concern is, well, if we open the pool, what if somebody goes down there and gets sick or something? That's just not a thing that we're going to sit around and worry about. It's not something we're going to put a lot of focus on. It's not to say somebody couldn't try to sue Walmart because they got sick at Walmart, but it's just not going to go very far. So same thing for us. And then as far as the pool furniture, for the board, one of the things we can consider, we got a couple things. We can put the pool furniture out. As far as sanitizing the pool furniture goes, they have sanitizing products and stuff like that. They're ready to go. They can spray door handles and keep things as clean as they can. All that. They do not have the materials needed to constantly sanitize pool furniture. That's just not feasible for the pool company. So the options are, put the pool furniture out like we normally would, and people can sanitize it themselves if they want to, or you can not sanitize it if you don't, whatever you want to do. You want to put a towel down when you get in the pool furniture. If you don't want to sit on the pool furniture, your choice is to make. Or we can not put out the pool furniture, and we can tell people bring their own furniture. That's something that's being discussed in different communities. The other option is put out some of the pool furniture so that there are some chairs and seating around, and we can position those in such a way that maybe we can make it so if people want to distance themselves a bit, there's room to do so, because all the pool furniture isn't out taking up all the space. And also, if you wanted to bring your own chair with you to sit on, your own lounge or whatever, you're welcome to do that. There's room for it. if we leave the pool furniture put up completely, they can put a lock rope around it so that people can't get it out and everything and drag it across, and then it's got to be put up and all that kind of thing. So I guess, again, we'll just go in the same thoughts on the pool furniture.
My thoughts would be to put some of ours out. Again, I'm not still in the community, but being a mom who would go to the pool with my kids, I would hate trying to lug my kids up there with furniture. It'd be my own choice to be there, and I understand that it's not going to be sanitized, but it's a pool, so even if it was, how long would that last? I don't think, I would prefer to have some out, but probably not all of it. I don't know, to figure out how much. Maybe if we can get down there and actually space things out, then we'd have a better idea of how much. And then my other thought is, if we have some out, why not have it all out? So I don't know. I was thinking maybe just chairs, not tables, because then that kind of discourages eating, drinking, those kinds of things. But again, if you go to the pool and you want to do it, then you probably are going to do it anyways. So next.
Yep.
I think I would just go ahead and
I have
put
next, I
everything out.
forget.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, Eric, sorry. Go Eric.
That's fine. I would just say, if we do our pool furniture, maybe just do about half of it and do the pergola side over toward where the bathrooms are. We could just leave that opposite corner, right, the far right corner from the entrance, just empty. So if there are people that are worried about and want to bring their own stuff, there's a designated area like, hey, don't put chairs over there. Obviously, someone's going to drag our chairs over there to that corner at some point anyways. But if we have a designated area like, hey, this is bring your own chair area, and then have the other half to 3/4 of the pool furnished normally, people at least have an option there. But we're not forcing anyone to do anything. I would say that we do need to put up a sign just saying like, hey, these chairs aren't getting sanitized, in case someone makes a big stink about it.
I like that.
Yeah, I was kind of
Sounds good to
personally, I
me.
was
I like what
leaning
Eric said.
towards the 50%. You like that? Yeah, I was kind of leaning
Yeah.
towards about
Yeah.
50% of the furniture going out or something like that. So I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Do we have
Make
an
sure that
idea
we just
how
include that,
often?
you know, you're responsible.
And I know they said they're not going to be, every time somebody leaves, they're not going to be wiping stuff down, but they are going to do their regular cleaning. It's not like they're reducing cleaning because of, lack of supplies or anything, correct?
Yeah, no, they're prepared to do
say
their normal
that
cleaning, and they're actually going to. Go ahead, Virginia. What were you saying?
I was thinking that, if we had our own furniture, that we could leave, we personally could purchase things that, people could use to sanitize whatever they want to. If they brought their own furniture, if they use ours, that way we cover, we'd have something, they wouldn't have to lug it up there. It'd just be there. A bottle, spray bottle, and some, whatever we need to wipe it down with, and let them do it. Let your, come up to the pool, I sit down, I wipe my own stuff down, the spray bottle back, they don't. Everybody still here? Uh-oh.
I think I'm getting you were breaking up a little bit, but I think I'm getting the gist of it. You were saying, yeah,
Okay.
but we got the gist of it. That you're.
Repeat that, Rob.
Yeah.
Yeah, repeat that, Rob.
We got the gist. What's that? We got the gist of it, Virginia. What she's basically saying is, yeah, I got you. She's basically saying that we can bring a spray bottle or something like that. Maybe the HOA could provide something. I don't know honestly what we can get or what we can't get. And I do worry about putting a chemical of some sort up there, because you got to remember, we have to provide an MSDS sheet. We have to make sure people know what the cleaner is. We have to take into account whether or not somebody's going to get break out from it. You know, I think there is some liability there, right? Whereas if you want to bring a wet wipe with you or something to wipe down the pool furniture, I think that's pretty reasonable. And if you don't have something to clean with, and you don't know what to do, just don't sit on the furniture. Just like Boyce was saying in the chat there, I think the easiest way for anybody who's concerned about the pool to avoid anything at the pool, if you're afraid of it, is don't go to the pool. And I agree with that. We're talking about people who decide they do want to go pool. We also talked about reducing the hours, whether or not we should reduce our hours so that once the attendants were there, they'd always be there. I don't think that's a good idea personally, and I don't know if the board has any other thoughts, but if you open the pool at 8 a.m. and it closes at dusk like we're planning to, that gives people the maximum number of hours to space their time out. So if there's a busy part of the day when you don't want to be around as many people, you could probably go at an earlier time of the day or a little bit later around dinner time, and you'd find that opening where you can enjoy the pool without a crowd. So I think leaving the pool open from 8 a.m. until dusk. Is there anybody on the board who feels differently? You wanted to reduce the hours or anything?
No, I think we should leave it open as long as possible.
No, I'm good with that.
I'd also say no on providing any
Alright.
type of cleaning equipment, just so we don't have to deal with that. If there's any issues with the kid being an allergen or something where they're going to break out because they use our sanitizing spray and not their own.
That's fine.
I'm on board with us not providing anything as well, just because, I mean, it could all get used every single day and then we'd be out of it and then we'd be sad we didn't have any. And then, you know, I think that's a slippery slope to start on.
I agree. I agree.
So,
All right. I think with most of those little things, everything, Ashley, any thoughts from you or Danielle from an association point of view? Anything we're not remembering to bring up?
I'm gonna let Danielle go first. Danielle?
Well, I think it's important to remember that, sorry, I think it's important to remember that this is kind of an unprecedented situation and nobody's dealt with it yet. We're all just kind of trying to navigate the situation. Obviously, we want to continue to have an open dialogue we want the board, and they will, obviously, to continue to have an open dialogue with their legal counsel and the pool company as far as what this plan is and making sure that everybody is on board. But in terms of any other specifics at this time, I don't have anything. Ashley?
I'm on board with you exactly.
I did just want to pop back
Rob,
in.
Has anybody get on the? Am I back in? Am I breaking up again?
We can hear you, Virginia. Go ahead.
All right. You're bad.
Okay. Has anybody been on the DHEC website to see exactly what DHEC is saying about opening up pools or what their regulations are for this COVID-19? Okay. I was just wondering.
Yes.
I didn't see. I saw what the state said. I didn't see anything what the DHEC was saying.
Yeah, I sent that out to you guys in an email a few days ago.
I just wanted to follow up with that.
Yeah, this when we say the
Okay.
state, Virginia, that's DHEC for South Carolina.
Oh, okay. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you. I read that.
Okay, I'm gonna pop back
Katie,
in,
go
guys.
ahead.
Thank you. One of the big things that they kept recommending and that people might bring up is that they had recommendations to only allow 20%. I don't see a way that we can enforce that. We can't say only 10 people per hour and, one family of 9 gets there and they're there for the whole time. I don't see any way to enforce that, even though it is a strong recommendation. I didn't know what your guys' thoughts were on that, or if you Think we should try something like that, if there is a way to try anything like that.
So that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot about that. So yeah, that was one of the recommendations, was 20%, which is a massive reduction in our number of people who could be up there. I tried to go and look real quickly to figure out, I don't know what our capacity is, but if you're talking about 100 people as our capacity, you're now talking about 20 people as our capacity. And I agree. I see no way to regulate that. We really have very limited powers to deny people access to the pool. So it would be very, very difficult. If you called the police and said, hey, somebody's at the pool, there's too many people at the pool, the police won't help you. From a management company point of view, it's going to take time for them to be able to do anything about it. So it's going to be over by the time they can do anything about it. So it's crazy to think that AMG could enforce that. We don't have an attendant there all the time, so we can't expect an attendant to enforce that. And it would be crazy to say, well, when the attendant's there, we'll enforce it. We won't enforce it when the attendant's not there. I think it's going to be one of those self-regulated things. If you show up and the pool is swamped with people, it is merely a recommendation by the state, first of all. But if the pool is swamped and you know in your brain, that's not what I want. I don't want to be around people. I think it's a self-regulate. Anybody, Eric, you got any thoughts on that?
No, I think we just.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be self-regulated. If you want to go, you go. Don't. Yeah. So I think it's gonna be self-regulated.
And we had issues in the past of people just not leaving when it got dark, or the attendants would leave people in there. I don't know if we want to set an exact time instead of dusk. That way the attendants can get people out before they leave. That would be my only suggestion, to something to change from in the past, because that dusk didn't seem to work. We had attendants leaving people in there at night.
Yeah, generally speaking, dusk comes before the attendant leaves. So it's just a matter, hopefully this year our attendants will do a better job of, the pool is closed. And that's a state thing, so they can enforce that. Hopefully that won't be a problem under our new company. Any other thoughts on any of the other points from that notice we got from DHEC?
The only other thing I wanted to bring up is they did recommend removing any shareable equipment, aka toys. So do we want to put on our signage, don't bring your own toys, or how's that? Like if people want to bring pool noodles or footballs and all that stuff. Because again, if balls are getting thrown, is that just one of the risks of being at the pool that you take if you're going to be there? Or do we try to limit some of that stuff that technically could be fomites and carrying the disease? I'm personally not worried about it, but what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so one of the things that we do need to make sure we do is things like footballs and stuff. We've had a problem with that in the past. We do need to make sure that we get that taken care of, because people like to fling those through the air and they skip across the pool surface and bust you in the face. So I think that in general, that's something we need to address. However, I don't think there's any reason to limit the toys coming in personally. My daughter has her own swim equipment. She's on a swim team. She goes to the swim pool. They usually have fins and shareable equipment that they have there, the buoys and their kickboards and stuff. I know that at the public pools where I think that's really kind of being pushed towards those types of pool settings, they normally have the shareable ones, and they've said at the pool when my daughter goes back next week, don't bring your own, don't use the stuff that can be shared. So I think for us, one thing that probably we need to do is just to be responsible about it. We'll have our attendant collect up any lost and found items. We'll take photographs and post them out to the neighborhood saying, hey, we have the lost and found items, and then we'll store those away, because it kind of becomes a free-for-all basket at times. So I think something we can do that could be responsible is just put away and not have out. But we don't have any real shareable equipment besides our chairs and our the handicap assistance chair that we've got up there. Other than that, I think I think we're good. Eric, any thoughts on any of that? Do you see any reason to restrict people from bringing? I mean, should we restrict their toys?
I don't think it's worth it. I mean, if you're going up there with your kids, what are they going to do? Just sit there and stare at each other the whole time? They're going to play with something and run around the pool. We may just want to go ahead and throw away all the stuff that's been stored up there for the last year from the lost and found. We got that basket still sitting up there, but just to avoid people digging through it. But no one's claimed it for the last 8 months, so probably don't need it that much now.
That's fair. Virginia, any thoughts?
Away though.
Oh yeah.
We don't really have a spot to put it.
Let the children have their toys. Yeah, we can't regulate that. I'm with you guys. Just, you know, it's self-regulation. That's the new thing. Instead of social distancing, self-regulation.
As far as where we would put the lost and found stuff, once we one of these days get a shed, that would be a good place to put it. For now, we can just anything that's up there that can be thrown away. I think what I'll do is I'll tell the attendants if it's something that can be thrown away that's just obviously junk or something, broken toys that get left behind, we'll throw those away. Items that are clearly somebody left it behind and they'll need it back or whatever, it's not junk. We can photograph up and they can probably just store it in the closet for a few days, but we'll just make it a very limited amount of time. You have this week to get your stuff or whatever, and we'll post it. And if somebody doesn't come looking for it, I think the easiest thing to do is just really reduce that amount of time. Most of the time I tell them just leave it up there all season and we'll get to it. And it's still up there, like you said. Though all that stuff's pre-COVID, so they should be safe up there. But we can take care of that. Somebody said something about, what about jumbo inflatables? We've never had a problem in the past with inflatables, so nobody's tried to regulate it. I was just looking at the chat real quick. We've never tried to regulate inflatables up there. I know some kids have got the great big ones, some kids have got the little ones. I think that would have to be one of those things where if it's a regular problem, we have to come back and enforce it. Just like with footballs being thrown, I've seen kids get hit, and I've seen kids almost get hit by the footballs. And I don't know why anybody would bring a football, not a Nerf squishy football, but a regular, like a real football, and throw it in the pool where it's skimming at kids' height. That's just poor decision making. But when it comes to most of this stuff, I think most of it, when it comes to the kids, it's going to be parenting. If you parent your kids, you'll be fine. If you don't, you'll have problems. You'll have a bad time. Any other thoughts on anything else, Kaden? Yeah.
I think that pretty much takes care of it. I don't think we're going to try to change anything, or I wasn't thinking we should try to change anything, but just double checking as far as food and drink. You guys are all still good with where that's been?
Yeah, I don't see any reason to change anything as far as food and drink. The one thing I was questioning, but I've not seen anything about it. One of the reasons we have water fountains at the pool is because you have to have water fountains at the pool. I don't get it, but you have to have a water fountain at the pool. So we have water fountains. I guess we're still going to have water fountains, and I don't know. I mean, I don't normally drink from water fountain. I think most of us, who grew up drinking from water fountains, I remember that era, but, for the most part, I tell my kid, don't drink from water fountain. You don't know who's been on that. So I think that's another thing, but we've not been told to shut down the water fountains. So those will be on. Again, parenting will need to be in play. I would recommend that to people. That might be something we include on the signage is, please consider, I don't know. I don't even know how you word that. Don't drink from behind people. I don't even have to put on a water fountain notice. But yeah, as far as like bringing food and drink, I don't personally see any reason to tell people they can't bring food and drink.
Sounds good. I don't have anything
other than
else.
Chat's been pretty quiet. Is there anybody who has some thoughts, some questions related to this stuff that you want to throw out there? And I really do appreciate everybody taking the time to come on here and be a part of, if nothing else, keeping the discussion amongst us so that, we're accountable to you guys. So we like being able to be accountable in front of you guys. So is there anybody who's got any thoughts after you've heard all this? Any questions, any concerns? All right. Well, don't tear us up too bad on social media then later with the comments and everything. Be reasonable.
Oh, real quick.
Ashley,
We do
Danielle,
need to
anything,
decide
final word
what
from
day
you
we're
guys?
gonna open, Rob.
Nope.
Sorry. I think I'm
Yeah,
delayed.
so
But we do need
that'd
to
be my
decide.
final. No,
Did we
no, you're
decide
fine.
May 18th?
No, so that's what my final thing to you guys, to just be kind of a vote. I just wanted to give any final conversational points or anything before I ask you guys about that specifically. Ashley, anything from you guys?
No, I really like the healthy dialogue that you guys are having and letting the community ask questions via chat. I think it's awesome. Jeannie?
I have something. Can I say something? This is Jeannie.
Oh,
Yes.
I'd like
Go
to
ahead.
bring up the smoking policy, the no smoking policy, that e-cigs, cigars, pipes, cigarettes are all considered smoking items, and e-cigs as well should not be allowed. Is there a way to address that?
Yeah, it's probably just a matter of defining it to people. And I agree with you. I think anything that is a nicotine product is smoking. I don't think that's too confusing for most people. Unfortunately, there's some people that think they can slide it in. So we probably just need to make sure that we include that in our signage. But yeah, there's no smoking on any of the common areas. That's been a board rule for years now. So it's probably just a matter of making sure people understand that that includes e-cigs, any tobacco products. And we could even include nicotine and tobacco products. There's probably some signage that includes that. We could update our signs related to e-cigarettes, that kind of stuff.
I can send you over some examples this week if you'd like me to for new signs.
Just looking here, Boy says not turn on audio, but I agree with the direction in which you're all going. It sounds reasonable. I do not agree with all of it, but I think these decisions are good compromise. Everything you're putting in place is enforceable, not providing disinfectant, limiting the furniture we put out, opening hours, capacity, all good stuff. Yeah, no, that's all good and appreciated. Any other thoughts or anything else, or a follow up on what I said about the smoking policy? Questions? Okay. I want to make sure I give there's a little bit of delay, so I'm making sure to give a little bit of a stretch of time so people have a chance to respond. Okay, with that said then, we'll make it real simple. All those in favor of instructing the pool company to open the pool on May the 18th at 8 a.m. This is a board vote, obviously. So all those in favor from the board, and we'll start with, just so we don't have a bunch of people yelling all over the place, start with Kate.
Sorry, I was trying to turn my audio. Yes. Wait. Can you reword that one more time? Sorry.
All those in favor of opening or instructing the pool company to open the pool at 8 a.m. on Monday, May the 18th.
I vote yes.
Were they able to do the 18th, or are they still trying to decide if they can get their people trained in time?
Yeah, so they would, I guess to clarify, and Katie, I'll let you re-vote if you need to, but to clarify, this would be without an attendant. You won't have an attendant until they get their attendants trained up. They will come and clean and prep the pool, and that'll happen every day, but there won't be somebody there throughout the day. Your mom won't work there for a week at least.
I still
Katie,
vote
any
yes.
changes?
Nope.
Okay.
Derek?
I would vote no for that just because there's going to be an issue with stuff getting cleaned. Like, who's going to clean the bathroom for that week? Are they going to come in and do that, or are they just doing the pool chemicals because they don't have an attendant?
Yeah, the cleaning includes the bathrooms and stuff. So they'll come through and do their normal cleanup, prep, make sure that the tables and chairs are where they're supposed to be. That's all part of your daily startup. The attendant is just the person who continues throughout the day.
Okay. Virginia, you voting?
Are you still saying no or yes or which one?
I'm still saying no because we don't have anyone to do any of the basic cleaning on the hands and the other stuff. So we're still not going to have any basic cleaning other than they come in and make sure the toilets are clean and the sinks are clean, but there's not any regular cleaning like it's required at everywhere else that's open right now.
Okay, so Rob, my question is, they're coming to do the chemicals, correct?
So our chemicals are on a self-regulated meter. Yeah, our chemicals are on a self-regulated meter these days. But yeah, they'll come in and do the daily opening procedures. So you're talking about cleaning up the pool, the vacuuming, straightening up the chairs, wiping things down. All your opening procedures will be done just like normal. Once we get an attendant working, I think at 3:30 in the afternoon, the attendant shows up, and at that point they would go around and start doing your cleaning, your wipe downs and stuff like that. But from 8 a.m. until 3:30 throughout the season, we have nobody scheduled to be there. So it'll be on your own, like much of this.
Right.
They'll have to kind of do it on their own.
Well, that's what we were saying. They were going to do it on their own anyway. So yes, I'm a vote yes for Monday. Because we said that they would do it on their own anyway. So yes, Monday, yes.
Okay. So that'll give us, we don't have Anthony, but we do have a quorum. So, and Anthony was essentially, did you guys get the feeling Anthony was saying basically, if everything is the way we were talking about it, he's all for it. Make sure, I mean, he was a little colorful in some of his statements, so I didn't want to read his word for word statement that he said.
Yes, I just wanted to add
that
that when we spoke with Steve this afternoon, his specific wording was that if there's a pool that never has an attendant there, he still says it's okay to go ahead and open. There's still no liability, and it's you post your signs and hope people go by it. That was our lawyer recommendation. So if he's good with it, just so that anybody who has questions about that watching this later, we did, even though he knows that there won't be anybody hourly cleaning, he still said as long as our signs are up, we're covered, and you're kind of at your own risk. Make your own decisions.
And speaking of signs, Rob, are we gonna have the signs? Are we gonna have the signs ready for Monday?
So that'll be part of the. I mean, it sounds like for the most part, I got Katie, Virginia voting yes, Eric voting no, and I'll go ahead and vote yes to open the pool. So now the question is, can we get things done? The pool company is ready to act to get things set up. I'll message them immediately afterwards. The signage is something we need to figure out. So the question is, how do we get some signage with the wording that we need on it? There's no instructions as to how big a sign has to be, how small a sign has to be. There's no, that I know of. And I'll go back to Ashley and Danielle. Have you seen anything, guidance on how to post a sign?
I haven't seen anything. Based on what Steve said this afternoon, he did say the sign doesn't have to be fancy. It could just be typed up and laminated and then clearly posted everywhere. I like things to look pretty, so for me that would be a temporary thing. But that would be your thing to get you by until you get pretty signs that are big, where people like me can actually see the words without wearing my glasses.
I think his only stipulation.
Go ahead, Danielle.
I didn't see any I haven't seen any specifics on the size of the signs. What I did hear recommendations on was that if you were going to have a situation where you don't have an attendant and you were going to have people kind of self-monitoring, self-policing, that there were multiple signs, that they were clearly visible from multiple locations. So it, not necessarily so much the size, but the number is what I was getting a sense of.
Yeah, and I agree. I was just going to say multiple. I think getting some typed up sheets that explain what it is, and getting multiple of those posted at the entrance. We've got that little sign message board as you come in. and then around the pool area, telling people, you know, here are the rules, here are the thought processes, here's what the state has said, getting those posted up, and then getting some more. I assume we'll need permanent signs. Apparently you have to tell people to not shake hands and then lick their fingers. So we will probably need that forever. Just gonna go with that. So maybe some nicer signs in the future that say things like, don't lick your fingers after shaking hands and wash your hands. So we get those together. But yeah, in the meantime, I think we can throw together some signs that'll get us there, if everybody's okay with that. I'm seeing.
So I can't have my chicken wings at the pool. I can't lick my fingers.
And just don't touch anybody.
Not if you shake hands. Can lick your fingers, can't lick other people's fingers. Okay. All right. Is there anything else? Any other thoughts from anybody else? Anybody in the community? You know, everybody took the time to be here. So if there's any thoughts or anything, I still encourage you. And I'm sorry, there's some chat messages. I should look up there and see what it says. Margot was saying, I like the idea of putting a few chairs, not all as well. So yeah, I think that would be 50% of the chairs and stuff going out initially, guys. Does that sound right? Leaving plenty of space so that if people want to bring their own chairs and some signage posted up.
Yep,
cool.
That sounds right.
I don't know where I'm going to get hand sanitizer from. I'll see if we got a bottle of hand sanitizer I can set up there. That's the other thing I was going to try to come up with is if I can find some hand sanitizer, we'll put a bottle of hand sanitizer up there. Other than that, I really don't know what to do. I think everybody should. It's an unprecedented time. so do your stuff. Any other thoughts? Anything else from the board?
Good.
We all gonna be sitting in our rocking chairs at 20. We'll be like, "What, that year 2020? You remember that?"
I'm gonna say that from 2013 to 2020 so far, I've got it covered. There's always something that personally, I want to say thank you to everybody who's taken the time to tune into this meeting tonight and the other meetings that we've had, to Ashley and Danielle for taking their time to be here. I mean, yeah, we pay them to work for the company and everything, but they don't have to drop everything to be there for every little thing. Though Danielle has dropped everything she was doing and literally run down to meet me at a meeting one time to prove she could do it. So that's how you earn favor. And then the board members, you know, spread the word to those who didn't make it here tonight. And I think Ashley, hopefully that recorded properly, will make this video available for people who want to watch later, but assuming it worked.
It worked.
But the board members we got the information, and the board members I've asked multiple times for the board members to make themselves available, and they have dropped everything to make themselves available for these meetings so that we could do this, because I know the pool is a big deal to people. So we want to do what we can for you guys as a community. So thank you to all the board members, and thank you to everybody who took the time to be here. And with that, I guess we will call it a night.
Good night,
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
That our Katie?
Now, are you able to stop the recording?
Yes, I can. Give me 1 second.